Oh, thank you. I didn't know if there was an opening statement. Appreciate it. Thank you, Chris. So, unlike some past Marches, there wasn't big free agent spending spree this year. Was a decision not to give out those huge contracts to outside free agents a decision that Steve Ross recommended to do something differently? Was it something that you and Brandon Shore recommended to Steve as a new way of doing business? And I say this kind of in jest, but might it have saved a lot of aggravation from fans if you had spent big money on a corner in March to sort of check that off the list? Obviously, cap space would have had to been created to do that.
No, Steve's never given us a directive on how to do it. You know, we meet with him, Brandon and I, spend time with him and Tom Garfinkel and obviously Mike, and we talk through our plan. And every year is different. You know, we've had years here where it's been all draft focused for a couple years, and then at some point you have to reset. And when you go and you make aggressive moves like we had made for a few years, you have to reset again and start it over because it's just not sustainable the way the contracts are with players and what they're making now. So in terms of directive, no, it was just, for us, it was just good business sense, working through it and trying to find value. But we also had to get younger, you know, so we added younger players. And, you know, like a year ago, we were one of a couple teams with all the 1 year vet contracts and stuff. And so we're in a different spot now, adding the young players. So that's the direction we're going right now, and we've been very happy so far.
There's a number of people in this room, including me, have raised serious concerns about your secondary, especially your cornerback position. Do you think we're making, to borrow your phrase, do you think we're more concerned about it than you are?
Oh, you're turning it on me, huh? I know Coach Weaver and Mike have been, you know, very, you know, honest with you guys about it as well. We feel good about the room, adding Rasul Douglas in to the group. We feel it was good. We've been talking to him throughout the summer, as most of you guys have known. Getting Minka added to the group was huge for us. Some of the young players, they're young corners, they have opportunities now to compete and make plays. I will tell you that Cam Smith is going on NFI today, so that's a little bit of a change. And also where we are right now, we're probably going to be aggressive here through the claims here this weekend today too, to make hopefully get a couple other players at positions and add them to the roster. So we feel good about that group. They've competed, they've done well, you know, all spring and summer battling. You know, a lot of the stuff that we're working on are not things that they're going to be doing in regular season games because you're not game planning, showing things to teams. So it was good to see them out competing and working, and we've been very happy with it. And I know you guys have heard some of our receivers talk about how the guys have done a nice job, you know, throughout camp and stuff. So now listen, they're young. Some of those guys are young. They got to prove it, and but we're excited about what the potential could be. But they have to do it now and for real, starting next Sunday.
What finally worked out with Rasul Douglas, and what gives you confidence he'll be ready in short order here?
Rasul's a consummate professional. Like, he's always a guy that's trained, keeps himself in great shape. He was excited when we talked to him. It's just a matter of when you're working through things. It's, you know, veteran players, they'll always go through their process of when they're ready and talking to teams and working through stuff. So it was just the timing worked for us to just get it done last night or 2 nights ago, I guess.
As far as him being ready in a couple weeks?
I think so. We'll see. You know, he'll be out there today, so we'll see how he looks. He's got some time. He's got to get used to the South Florida heat, you know. But he's been in Dallas and stuff training, so excited for him. He's been a player that's very smart, instinctive, tough, competitive. So I'm really happy to add him to the group.
How confident or concerned are you about offensive line depth?
Yeah, you know, we're a little light there right now with 8, but we like some of the guys. We'll be signing Kendall Lamb here later today, back to the roster. So Kendall's been a good player for us, you know, in the role he serves. For us, I think the best thing that happened, and you know, is for me, is for the experience for Larry to play and get some experience with the ones. You know, Austin, obviously we need him back. He's a really good player. He's trending for playing week 1. Excited for him to be out there. But I think to get that group out there together, the starting five playing together was good. But it's good for Larry, who's coming in, learning a whole new technique, systems of doing everything. And coaches are very happy with him, as our teammates and stuff. He's been a really good fit for the room. And James Daniels has done a nice job coming in at guard as well. And the two young guys on the other side getting all that work throughout the spring was good. So getting Keon Smith back was really good because he can play tackle and guard as well. So we feel good about it. Daniel Brunskill's been a veteran that's played in this system for a long time. So he gives us, some comfort there as a backup. So we feel good about it, but we know they have to go out and play, and it'll be, exciting to keep them and see what they can do as a group. But very encouraged and excited, as you've heard Mike and the coaching staff talk about.
Chris, you mentioned a little earlier about Kendall's back issues that ended the season prematurely last year.
Yeah, he'll go through his physical this morning. But I know in Philadelphia he practiced every day and did everything. And talking to him last night, he was in good spirits, said he felt good. So I just think it's one of those. Right now he's healthy and feels good. So we don't really have a concern right now.
From a distance, it seems like there's been a focus on the line of scrimmage the last couple of years with Chop, Patrick Paul, Jonah, Kenneth Grant, James Daniels. Is that the case, and if so, what prompted that?
No, I mean it's always the D lines are always and offensive line are always key, and we were fortunate here for defense for so long with the two D tackles we had that played more snaps than anyone, and they were always healthy, and so it was you kind of took it for granted, I guess, because they were good players who just played every down and great motors, and so. For us, adding to that depth and offensive line, we've always done a little piece here and there, whether it was, Connor or Armstead and then Brewer coming in. And so we've always, over the last couple, done one or two guys, Patrick Paul a year ago, even before. So it is important. I think now the focus, because we're so young with some guys in there, that's why it's, probably showing up. And they are big people, and they played well so far, but now they got to do it when it matters.
Chris, you said earlier, you used words reset and younger and try to change things up. This franchise hasn't won a playoff game, as you know, in a quarter century. Those words, do they still line up with the possibility of this being a team that can finally break that drought?
Well, yeah, in terms of reset, it was just talking about the money, philosophy, and spending and stuff. But like I told you, that we were always going to try and win this season. It's all about winning in 2025. It was never going to be a step back. I think you guys have been around the players and in the locker room and talking to players. It's been a little different down there in how they've approached things, and we saw it from day one in OTAs. Like the offensive and defensive groups would stay out on the field on their own, which I'd never seen here in years, for like an hour after OT as a group by themselves in their own time, walking through stuff, going through, holding each other accountable. The stuff you saw like in the joint practices where our guys getting on each other about competing and stuff, that hadn't happened here in years. So it's a different mindset, led by Mike, that we talked about right from that last team meeting at the end of last season when he told them what it was going to be. And it's been that way, and the players have responded incredibly. So we're excited. We're going to try and win as many games as we always can, and we feel good about the group and what it could be, and so we'll see how it plays out.
Chris, you mentioned earlier Cam going to NFI. We've seen him out here. Did something happen, and is he out for the year?
With NFI, we don't really talk about what's going on. We've had other players here that have done that. Cam had some of his best ball the last 2 weeks. He's been really good. So we'll see what happens. We'll work through it, and then we'll see what happens down the road.
Chris, regarding Darren Waller, has there been any kind of injury? I know that Mike had said, get him in football shape. I think he said there's been no setback, but has there been any kind of injury that's kept him off the field?
No, right now you've seen him out there working and running. I think when someone's taken that much time off from football, we've been around it where they come back faster and try to do it all, and then they get hurt and gets worse, and it ends up being a whole mess throughout the season. We've dealt with that before in the past, so we're kind of being cautious and smart on it. So you'll see him out there, as you guys have seen him each day, doing more and more, and it's just us being smart because we want him available for 17 games, rather than come out here and prove something in preseason and then he pulls or gets hurt, and then he's out for a while. So this is us about managing him to get him ready for week 1, and he's been fantastic in attacking. He's been in every meeting, special teams. He has been dialed in and enjoying it. So he said he's having the time of his life. So we're really excited.
Do the Dolphins need a playoff appearance or a playoff win for you personally to consider the 2025 season a success?
You know, for me, our goals are always to be playing good football in December and January and win games. So ultimately, yeah, our goal is to get in the playoffs and try and win games. So at the end of the day, I don't really judge anything for myself or what it is. It's about the team and the organization, and so we feel good about the players here and the coaching staff and this roster to help us win games in 2025.
As a front office, how satisfying is it to see like late round draft picks right that were on the roster for guys like Jason Marshall and Ollie Gordon II, and did anything about their preseason performance exceeded their expectations compared to draft day?
No, I think the one thing you never know, obviously, when you come into an NFL camp is how they're going to react and stuff. So, you know, Ollie in the spring was it was an acclimation for him to the NFL. Like he came in a little bit heavy and doing it because in college he had gotten bigger, trying to protect himself after he won, you know, the Doak Walker. I think he played about 10 pounds heavier. So he got here. We told him, no, we need you down a little bit. So unprompted, we just told him that. He came back to camp. He was like 9-10 pounds lighter, and has been great for us. Jason's the same way. You don't even know he's out there. He's so quiet. He's a really good person, but just works every day. Just comes in, puts his head down. Was proud of him. He had a little hamstring for a day, and it's something he had bothered. And then he went back out there and has not missed a day since. Been out, competed, played through it. So it's been good watching those guys grow up. But all of them, from Jordan Phillips, all those guys. I mean, they've been out there, and this whole group of rookies has just come in and just put their head down, and you know, Grant, all these guys. It's been really good watching them. Quinn has been really good. People talk about his sense of humor and everything, and how smart he is and works through it. So the whole draft class we've been very happy with, and as we talked about before, we needed those guys to contribute, and they're going to have to contribute and play this year.
You mentioned Jason Marshall Jr. How confident are you that he can play the nickel for a full season, in light of the fact that that is a position he's never played before?
Yeah, I think just at that position, and it takes a guy that have the right mentality, because it's not just a cover position. You're in there taking on guys, blitzing, tackling, and he has shown a willingness and has been fearless throughout the spring doing it. And we were even talking the joint practices, how he was in there pushing guys, going in, being physical. So I have a lot of confidence in him to do it. It's a challenge for him, but he has not blinked one bit. And so we know there'll be growing pains with it, and we'll live with it. But for him, we have all the confidence in the world that he'll be successful, and looking forward to how he plays this year.
Chris, I'm not sure the direct role Tua plays in conversations with you with personnel decisions, but can you talk about maybe his role and what he wants the locker room to look like in the communication with you about that?
We don't really talk to players about what we want the locker room to look like. It's, you know, when Mike and I talk, this is what it's going to be. And so obviously when that's laid out, we talk to the leaders of the team and say, this is, you know, how it's going to be. And we do take input for them. But at the end of the day, it falls on Mike and I for how the locker room and how things are handled in there. But the one thing I will say, we have a lot of strong leaders. And, you know, I would say one player that is, for me, well, two players that have stuck out have been Jordan Brooks and Aaron Brewer have been phenomenal in the locker room handling stuff. Having Bradley Chubb back this year has been great. Like, he's been fantastic. So Alec Ingold, you guys have been around. There's a lot of quality people in there, and Tua included. And, you know, Tua's been outspoken on things with people and handle it. And that was a huge step for him from you guys that have been around him for years. So it's been good that, you know, the message is being carried on, and those guys believe in it 100%, which is watching this team together has been pretty cool.
So your point on that
talking about the locker room and changes, you know, people working after practice. Part of that was getting rid of some people. Jalen Ramsey, you guys was a big investment, and we have talked to you since then. Could you just talk about the need to move on from, you know, and change the culture was a big word.
Yeah, you know, I talked about the whole Jalen thing a little bit in the spring when people were asked. I know the trade hadn't happened, but we talked about it. But for us, it was just getting the right group of people for the changes we wanted to make, and make sure that everyone was all about football and this team. So I know some of you guys have heard stories and stuff, and I'm not going to go into things that were said, and that's for you guys to do. But those guys that left, I'm happy for them. Like Jalen and Johnny are good people. I didn't have any issues with them. I know getting Minka back was a big piece for us. I've known Minka, obviously I drafted him. I know what kind of person he was, what kind of leader, and how he loves ball, and his impact in that room and on the team has already been really felt, because Mike has talked about it, and the players have seen some of the things he's done on the field. But it was important for this team and these people and the young players we're having in to know that this is the standard and what we're going to be and how we're going to run here. And so it's been very good thus far.
Chris, were you surprised to get a player like Minka back? I mean, you had said that you wanted to trade Jalen Ramsey, and we've been kind of led to believe that when it's public knowledge a player is going to be traded, like the return is going to be lower. Were you surprised to get that quality of a player back for somebody that the world knew that you wanted to trade? Or was that always the goal?
I mean, honestly, I was shocked, but I was very surprised that we were able to get him. But I do know that Pittsburgh had liked Ramsey a lot for what he can do in his skill set, because he's a very good player too as well. So, and getting Jono for them too was important. So I think the way you look at it is they got two players that they liked, and we got a player that we had coveted too as well. So it was a win-win, and we got a draft pick as well, win-win for both teams.
Chris, you talked earlier
What
about.
gets you excited the most about this roster, as you guys get ready for week 1?
To me, it's we're younger, we're faster, but I think it's a closer unit group. And obviously seeing your shirt there with the Stanley Cup, we had Bill Zito brought the Stanley Cup over, because Bill is a friend of mine for a while. He actually tried to sign my brother when he was a player, when he was an agent, to sign my brother. So so Bill and Matthew Tkachuk came over and talked about how the uniqueness and closeness of a locker room is so important. And so hearing that again just kind of reiterated everything that we've been talking to the players about how spending time together. Like, you've heard the players talk about the 10-day road trip, how they weren't fired up, and then after, they're like, it was the greatest thing that ever happened. Like, we truly loved it and had a really good time and getting closer. So that's what I'm excited about, that these guys are all going to play for each other and try and win football games. And it's not about individuals, it's about winning as a team.
Chris, one of the last times we spoke to you, a topic that came up was Tyreek and how you felt about him having to mend fences, and Tua has talked about that. What do you see in that regard, and would you be comfortable with him as potentially a captain again on this team?
Yeah, whatever the players decide, and Mike on the voting, that's up to them. But Tyreek has been, like I told you, unbelievable since the whole offseason after he got his wrist surgery here. He's been unbelievable. He's been around every day. He has worked tirelessly with his team. I think he's closer to a lot of his teammates than he's ever been. And that's just me personally watching his interactions. You've seen him at the joint practices on the sidelines during games. Like, he is 100% invested. Like, he's in the joint practices over there talking smack to the other teams in the middle of when things are happening. And like, it's been fun to watch. And his teammates are all 100% behind him. I know everyone's making comments about him and Tua, but those two have been closer than I've seen them ever before. So it's been really cool watching him embrace his teammates and them embrace them. So it's been really cool.
Is there anything new on the pursuit of a replacement kicker? I know you brought in 4 yesterday for trials.
Yeah, we're going to sign to the practice squad Riley. So he's going to do for the next 3 games. We'll flex him up for 3 games, and then we'll see how it goes to evaluate him before that. And then just in terms of Jason, because I know you asked, we're so early in the process that with him, we're just going to let him. He started his rehab, let it go, and then and we'll update you, as we get going throughout the season. But it's way too early to say right now when he would return.
Chris, you mentioned this team is younger, and I think that's obvious when we look. You're undergoing a philosophical change from win now with the 30-somethings kind of to winning with draftees and young players. What prompted that change?
Well, but we also have some veterans that are, we are young, but we do have some veterans, with Zach and even Minka, guys that have won games and playoff games and been around. But no, it's just, like I said, at some point, when we're so aggressive spending, going to get all these big name free agents and doing it, it's just not sustainable that way. And so there's always a lifespan to that. And you've seen that around the league that do it. So at some point, if you don't reset fast enough, you end up in a situation where it's not good cap-wise and in terms of even releasing players and moving on. So we got to a point where we felt this was the right time to do it, but still to the point where we have a good roster and good players where we can win games.
Chris, you mentioned earlier having the right guys in the locker room this time around. I'm kind of curious, I guess, what the result of not having those right guys was. Was it like you, Mike, not setting expectations for what the culture would be? And I guess what was kind of like the last straw breaking point that led to like such an intentional cultural reset?
Yeah, no, it's not with the culture. Like I said, it's when you bring in so many new players that have been stars at other places, and you kind of work through it. Like you have your expectations, but you're winning, but you look at it and you may say like, hey, I don't know if we're winning the right way. You know what I mean? And so that's kind of what it was. Like these guys we had a lot of good guys in that locker room. Some of the guys that are leaders were here before as well. And so they were held accountable, but at times, guys, it didn't matter to them. And so moving on from those people with the right guys here and focusing on that, because when you have a year like we did last year, we'd gone to the playoffs the 2 previous years. And at some point you say, okay, all right, enough is enough. Like, yeah, we just missed the playoffs by a game last year. That's not good enough. Like, the whole goal was to win a lot more games than we did last year. So this is our time now in terms of doing everything to move forward.
Chris, I know you mentioned the positive development of Ollie Gordon earlier, but you got Achane who's been banged up, and Wright, who Mike told us is going to miss some time. Where are you with that running back room?
Yeah, we'll end up adding a couple guys to the practice squad, veterans. We've been talking to people here last night and today, so we'll be some veterans here, or maybe a younger player too. We'll add in that are good players that will fit the system that we know that we'll be able to play. But all indications for us is that HN will be ready week 1 to go.
Chris, I know we don't get an opportunity to talk to Steven much, but I'm curious in what you could share in your conversations with him about where this franchise is, where this team is, where things are moving forward, and how he feels and how you both feel things are headed.
Mm-hmm. No, Steve's been tremendously supportive. Obviously, we tell him everything that's going on because, he's the boss. He's like everyone, he's competitive. He wants to win like we all do. And but he knows a lot of things that goes on behind the scenes that people don't, which is great. And so he has a really good understanding from his business side, but also as from player and a human being side. So when we go through it and talk about it, he's like all of us. We want to win games. We want to win playoff games. We want to win Super Bowls. So none of us are happy that it hasn't happened, but also when we work through stuff, we're very clear on what our goals are and communicating with him with everything, and he communicates to us as well.
When you decide to retain you guys, you talk about status quo basically won't do. What is going to make this team different from the one that's played for the past couple decades?
Yeah, and for me, it's we can say all this stuff has changed in words and everything, so it doesn't really matter. Guys, we have to go do it on the field and win games. So, that's just a simple way of saying we can say how good we feel and everything's going, but until we win games and do it on the field, it doesn't matter.
Chris, this might come out of left field a little bit, but I'm trying to do my due diligence here. Once his health allows him to think about playing again, would you be open to the idea of bringing back Christian, or would you prefer just rolling with the 3 young DTs?
Yeah, I don't think we would ever close our mind on anything. Christian, while he was here, did a good job. Now I don't know all the things that have gone on and haven't had any conversations with him. But yeah, we would be open to it because while he was here, he was, a very good player for us.
Have you seen something from Zach Wilson that gives you confidence he could be a capable backup if Tua were to get hurt?
Yeah, I think each game he's gotten better and better, and I think you guys that have been here have seen him where, like the first part of camp when we were just going through a lot of stuff 7-on-7, he was really good, and then the team stuff happened. You can see where the gears are going a little bit in a new system and stuff. Where there's times where he's holding the ball, focusing on stuff too long, and but each game has gotten better and better. He's gotten more comfortable. I think getting more reps playing only helps him. The one thing I think we like is he's smart. The players have all liked him in the locker room, his leadership. He's a really good guy with a sneaky personality that he probably doesn't show people. But the players like him. It's been a really good room with the three of them in there with Tua and Quinn. They get along very well. But excited for what it could be. Knows he's got to keep working to keep going, but confident that if he went into a game that he would help us to be able to move the offense and help us win a game.
Chris, was the Judon signing at all a concern about health of Jalen and Bradley, or was it simply a case of we want the most dominant pass rush and edge rushing group in the NFL, and we now have 4 guys who can do that?
Yeah, it would be naive for me to say the health part wasn't involved because it's you guys have been here. We've had death by pass rush the last couple of years with all the injuries. So, but obviously having 4 guys, if they're healthy, that can really rush, it also helps the back end. I think the group of linebackers we have as well too that can cover underneath and in space. It's a really good unit that can play and cover. So. Being able to have 4 guys up there or 5 guys, however we want to play them, that can rush the quarterback, enables us to have more people in coverage. So, so for us, it was a no-brainer signing when he told us he was interested in coming here because he had known Bradley and JP, and he didn't really know Chop, but he had watched them and liked his game. So, and the whole to keep all 4 of them going and keep them all fresh all game, we think will be a huge help for us, especially over a long season.
Chris, a question about your interaction with fans. I think I might have asked you this last year, and you shared that you got a T-shirt. But in your interactions with fans this year, has it been more frustration or more optimism?
I really haven't had many interactions with fans. No, when I see guys, they're like, hey, and if I'm out, people have always been respectful and nice, and they just say, hey, keep going, appreciate you. And so it's been, the guys to my face have been nice. I know there's people that are upset, but that's any job. And if I was comfortable and saying I felt great about what things are, then I'm an asshole because I'm not being realistic about where we are as a team and where things are going. So after last season, so. I'm frustrated like they are that we didn't win enough games last year. So I understand it. Like I said, I don't take things personally, but when I'm out, people have been generally, very positive and stuff to me. But I know there's guys. I mean, I've gotten some colorful emails with from a couple people, including hoping my kids die of cancer, which was a fun one. I was like, there you go. So that's why I don't take things very personal or real because other people have other issues and stuff in life. So. All right.
Thank you.